Hi, I'm Kevin O'Connor, and welcome back to This Old House in Los Angeles. Today we'll wrap up nearly 6 months of work here in Silver Lake. We'll see all of the furnishings come together for a Spanish colonial house, and then it'll be time to turn the house back over to the homeowners. How does it feel to have appliances in your kitchen this time? Because that's not what they were originally.
Exactly, they were in the room next door, so we had the clothes washer right next to the dishwasher. Not ideal.
Sounds like an upgrade to me. All that coming up on This Old House. We started work here in Los Angeles 5.5 months ago on a little 1930s Spanish colonial for a family of 3 that is now a family of 4. And it was a small house. It was only 1,500 square feet with 2 bedrooms and a single bath. And even though we're down to the very last episode, well, we're still working on it. Guys working behind me, debris here in the front yard. But it's not all a work in progress. There are spaces to marvel at, beautiful finished spaces, thanks in part to this gentleman right here, Steve Pallrand, and your crew.
How are you?
So it's a different house today. We've got 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. We actually bumped it up a story, but you'd really never know it from the front.
No, that was the point. I think it's been very successful. We've completely remodeled it. We've added the second story, as you said. We've resurfaced the stucco, redone the roof, and yet it still looks exactly as it did, if not better than the 1930s. So it's still that quaint house that it always was.
And we've got the original roof tiles, and we see those from the street side, and the original stucco. And here's the man of the hour, first to come, last to leave. Angel, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. You holding up?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. You know, every day I'm just pulling my hair out.
All right. Well, you're not doing so bad. So we've got plastic on the sidewall here. We had a little bit of issue with the rain and the tiles on the roof.
Yeah, actually, we're worried about the rain coming in this week, and so we had to cover up the wall here because we had an issue the last time it rained with the oxide in the tile running off and coming down and all over the wall.
So we actually had a little bit of the dust from the tiles left on the roof. Guys were cutting up there, working up there, and when the water came down, we had some red staining here on the side of the house.
Yeah, right here in the valleys especially, we had to come down, and you could still see a little stain where it was a little bit wet.
Yeah.
But we've had to fog it and patch that stucco back up.
So covered it with a little bit of paint. Look at these guys moving stuff in as we speak. And we'll get some nice gutters, right?
Oh, we'll get some very beautiful
Problem
gutters.
solved. All right, well, we got furniture going in. We have beautiful spaces to see. So what do you say we have a look at them?
Let's go.
One of the original design elements in this house was a detail called cake frosting. This is actually a piece of the original canvas that came off the wall, and you can see it right here. This was done freehand on the wall, and you can see the master has been replicated already. We still have to finish some diamonds right there. Now, the job of doing all this is Alfonso Garcia. He's done all of our stucco work and our plaster work. Hey, Alfonso.
Hi, Richard.
Nice to see you again. You're doing all freehand?
It's all freehand, like it was before. So basically what I have is a pastry bag with the custom-made tip.
Yeah.
And
Let me watch your work.
we just follow the chalk line. And this is how we apply it.
So you snapped a chalk line.
Yes. And this special design that we have right here on the corner, that's the original one.
It takes a nice steady hand, doesn't it?
Well, I'm trying. Well, basically what I do, if it's something that I don't like it, I come back and with my fingernail, I just follow and erase and modify.
That's a tool that's always with you.
Exactly, man. I'm born with it.
You can really appreciate how handmade this looks. Back here in the master bedroom, there's a little more intricate detail because they've got these diamonds in the corners.
What I have here, Richard, is actually a pastry tip. And I actually find it on the supermarket.
Okay. So you wanted a smaller tip because the work is a lot more fine in the diamond.
Yes, correct.
Well, Alfonso, between all the work you've done in this room, the burnished plaster ceiling, the cove right here, and all this cake frosting, it would be a crime to hang any art on these walls.
Richard, plaster is the art.
I guess so.
Our house has 4 exhaust fans, 1 in this laundry room and 1 in each of the 3 bathrooms. And it makes sense. In a bathroom you have stale air or you have humid air if you run a hot shower. So you turn the fan on and it gets rid of all that bad air. But this system is actually a little different. These fans can be used to exhaust the bad air, but they can also be used to bring in fresh air. And that happens down in the basement. Our entire HVAC system was installed by Eric Downs. And Eric, it turns out you're also connecting our bathroom fans to that HVAC system.
That's correct. Anytime that you exhaust bathroom air out, you got to bring fresh air in.
Right.
On the other side of this wall, there's a fresh air intake in, which pulls the air into this pipe. This is a 6-inch pipe. Goes to a damper here. The damper opens and closes. That is hooked up to a smart sensor up in the bathrooms.
So bathroom fans go on upstairs, damper opens downstairs.
Correct.
All right, so but how does the air normally get into the house? Because I don't have this system in my house.
Well, what happens is normally it would pull it from the dirty spots. It would pull it from the cracks in the walls. It would pull it from kitchen exhaust, bathroom exhaust, which is, you know, not the cleanest air.
That's my house you're talking about, man. Okay, so it comes through here, it gets through the damper when it's supposed to, and then where does it go?
It ties in here to the return, which this return is hooked up to the heating and air conditioning system.
So this is the heart of our HVAC system right here, and you're dumping it into this return plenum?
Yes, and what happens is it's filterized. It goes through a filter before it's going to the supply and vents that are throughout the house.
So we don't just have bathroom fans anymore. We've got a system now that helps the house breathe, but it cleans the air in the process.
Correct.
That is very clever. Thank you.
Well, there is a lot of activity inside the house as we get ready to turn it over to our interior designer, Rachel Horn. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Norm.
Now, you're based in LA, but you're actually from Mexico.
We are. We're from San Miguel de Allende, a teeny little town up in the mountains of Mexico, where we have all of this fabulous Spanish colonial style furniture made that's perfect for this kind of house.
All right, well, we're going to let you get back to it, but a little bit later, you're going to give me a tour of your furnished house.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, as we turn it over to the interior designer, a number of craftsmen are working on the final details and a punch list, including our project manager, Joe Luttrell. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Norm. How are
So
you?
there's always a few things to take care of at the
Oh,
end.
yeah, just a few things. You know, registers, light covers, you know, touch-up paint, things of that nature.
Now, recently there's been a building code change here in California, and you're now required to install carbon monoxide detectors.
That's correct. And we happen to have a combination smoke detector and carbon monoxide detectors in the house.
Well, that's going to be great. The house is beautiful, and it's going to be safe for the occupants.
Yes, it will be.
Now, the first time we met you was in the original master bedroom of the house, and you were cutting away samples of the plaster details.
Correct. And we've replicated this throughout the house in several of the different rooms.
Well, there's beautiful craftsmanship to appreciate on the inside and fantastic views on the outside.
How could you go wrong? Place for your children to play and wonderful views of the lake.
So, Kurt, I thought it never rained here in Southern California.
We brought this in special just for you, Richard.
Thank you, I think. Now, we've got plenty of fresh air coming to the building, but I thought we'd take a minute to explain how you're going to heat and cool these buildings. And it starts on the cooling side with these condensers.
These are huge.
Well, one of the byproducts of highly efficient equipment nowadays is that the units themselves get much bigger. All right, so you've got 2 units right here. The smaller one is going to connect to a furnace and ductwork up in the attic for your master bedroom suite.
Okay.
And this larger one right here is going to do most of the rest of the house, the whole first floor. Now, this unit right here has a refrigerant line set right here, and it connects to a unit right inside the basement. Now, just beyond the wall outside are our 2 condensers right here. You can see the line sets that come into the building. Now, up in the attic, we have a single furnace, 1 zone. Down in the basement, we have a single furnace, but it's going to be 2 zones. One for the bedrooms over here, the other for the family room kitchen over that side. So here's the furnace for the whole first floor.
Wow.
Now inside this, it has a blower motor that's going to push the air across this furnace. So inside here, there's a burner unit connected to a gas pipe that's going to heat the air when it needs to.
That's great on a rainy day, but usually we're worried about cold air here.
Right, cooling is big in California. And so for that, we have a cooling coil right here, and that connects to our condenser outside, and that'll make the air cold. Now, I mentioned it was a 2-zone system. This air comes to this point right here, and it can go to 2 different branches. Now, upstairs on the first floor, we're going to have these. These are actually wireless thermostats, no wires needed, and that's going to control each of the 2 zones upstairs. It's going to connect to this motorized damper right here. So when that thermostat says, give me heat, the damper motor will open. It'll communicate back to the furnace to bring the furnace on at the right amount of airspeed and send that air out to be heated. Now, when it delivers that heat to the air, it has to also come back to the furnace.
Through the return, right?
This big duct that we've been hitting our head on right here, all the air works its way back this way, comes right to this point, to the back side of the furnace. And this is really one of the most important features of any hot air system. This is an air cleaner, okay? So this thing is going to protect the air that comes out through the ductwork so it doesn't go into our lungs, but it also protects the equipment itself because you've got that cooling coil, you don't want to get clogged. So inside it's electrically powered, and we're going to send electrical charges to this point right here. So just hold that, Kurt, for me. So there's a pre-filter right here that catches dog hair or cat hair. The next thing is this collection cell, and this was going to positively charge any of the particles and make them attracted. And finally, they get caught right here on this filter.
It's great. How often do we need to clean this?
Well, it really depends on how dirty the air is in the building. And the nice thing about it is this will actually tell you right here when it's time to service it.
For just about the entire duration of the project, our backyard has been a staging area for the construction equipment and for the trash. But now all of that is gone, and despite a very tight budget, Melanie, you have turned this into a little bit of a miracle back here.
Thank you, Kevin.
So you put it down a big lawn because Kurt and Mary have got 2 kids and they needed a place to play.
They did. You know, the houses in this area are very closely set to one another, and Kurt and Mary were really fortunate in the fact that they got a larger backyard than most.
And we gave them sod. What's the species?
This is actually marathon sod.
All right, and because where we are in California, if we have grass, we need water.
Absolutely.
So a drip irrigation system around the perimeter and also sprinkler heads throughout.
Right, yes, those are pop-ups.
And a smart system, right? It's not going to overwater?
That's correct. Actually, there's a sensor option that hooks up to the main controller, so when it rains, as it's been doing today, it actually shuts itself off.
Great. And this is your work here too?
This is a new hedgerow that was installed here. We didn't want to put any sort of concrete or stucco on that because that would be more of a costly option, so we just installed this dodonea along here.
And the dodonea is going to grow how high?
It'll be about 12 to 15 feet tall.
Oh, so a complete screen.
Absolutely,
All
absolutely.
right. So some new plants, but because of the budget, we actually had to save some of the plants that were originally here. I think Kurt's mom may have planted some of these. What are we looking at?
She did about a decade ago. This is an iris, a variety of iris called dietes, and then over here is solanum. This is actually a potato vine, and it gets, you know, kind of rangy and crazy, but it's got these gorgeous purple flowers. So
who doesn't get rangy and crazy though, right? So some budget constraints out back here, but out front you had a clean palette.
I sure did.
Let's go have a look.
So Kevin, this is one of the smallest front yards that I've ever worked in.
And what do you do about that? Because small can be a challenge, right?
Absolutely. Well, one of my tricks is that I use a limited plant palette. So I use a smaller number of different types of plants.
Too many plants, it gets too confusing?
Precisely, precisely. And you know, you were giving me so much grief over this broken concrete. So what do you think?
I did call it rubble, and I did give you grief.
You did.
I've got to say, I think I've come a full 180 degrees. It actually looks very organic and kind of like flagstone.
Yes, it does.
And it's a bargain, too.
It really is.
And I also was a little skeptical about this curve that you put out front. There was a straight shot, and it was good enough for me. But now that I see what you've done, I like this as well. So
Thanks.
I stand corrected.
Thanks. Well, it mimics the arches in the doorway.
It does. So let's talk about these plant materials. There's not many of them, but what are we using as species?
Well, one of my favorites here is called Anagoxanthos.
That's a great name.
Yeah, it's an Australian native. Its common name is kangaroo paw. And then we've got these icy blue foliage plants here, and those are called Euphorbia caricaeus.
Give me a sense of how big the Euphorbius is going to get.
Well, it will end up being about 18 to 24 inches tall, and in about a year and a half, this will all sort of segue and grow into one another, and it'll be, you know, very eclectic and interesting looking.
Small now, but these things are going to fill in. And
precisely.
I remember that this was a big sticking point for you. The original bed here in front of the house was very narrow, tucked up tight, so you actually took the time to move it back.
I did.
Makes a big difference. And what'd you put in for us?
I put in rosemary, Tuscan blue, which is an
that's
upright rosemary, and it actually will get about 18 inches high, maintained.
Right.
And it'll really soften this ledge here.
Yep, cover some of that up.
Exactly.
And all of this, again, is good irrigation, right? But this is the drip system.
These planting beds are a drip system, and this is the tubing. It's got holes in it every 12 inches, as you can see here. It's very flexible, and it's great because it limits the amount of water that actually is emitted.
Don't waste anything, right?
Don't waste anything.
So this is all buried underneath the ground. Good. Also attached to a smart head. And then on this side, we've got sort of a matching flanking bed to what you have there.
Right.
And the tree.
The tree is here. It's anchoring that corner. It's a wonderful, beautiful, mature eucalyptus.
So this really represents the compromise. Kurt, the homeowner, wanted some lawn. You didn't, but you gave on that point.
I did.
And maybe the tree was going to go away, but you fought for it, and now it stays.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, it is a pretty good compromise to me. Looks great right down to your rubble.
Thanks, Kevin.
Nice job, Melanie.
Our homeowners are not going to move their furnishings back in for a couple more weeks. But Rachel, as an interior designer, you're going to show us how to furnish a Spanish Colonial Revival. And I got to say, you really pulled it together.
Thank you so much. We're just so excited to get to work on this project. The architecture is so incredible. Spanish Revival is really one of our favorite styles.
Right. Well, the architectural details really drew us to this house. I mean, the beautiful texture of the plaster throughout the house that Alfonso Garcia and his crew did, these Moorish openings that lead you in and out of the various rooms, and this nice corner fireplace.
I love the fireplace, so beautiful.
Now, you've brought some large furnishings, and this is a big piece.
This is a beautiful, tall piece of furniture. We love to incorporate big pieces when we have nice high ceilings like we do in this room. And obviously this is a really nice antique. It's from Puebla, Mexico, built in about 1890, and we just love the detailing on it.
It's very nice. You know, the focal point of this room has to be that front window. It's framed with that Moorish style, and it's one huge piece of plate glass.
Which is both fabulous and a little bit of a challenge.
Sure.
The light can be a little bit harsh, and so we like to soften it with upholstery fabrics, and we start with that layering with the rugs. We've got here a really nice nubby sisal rug, which is natural, and then our second layer is this really soft, beautiful wool rug that adds more texture and a little bit of color. Our final layer is our upholstery, this wonderful, big, comfortable sofa that's nice and low so we don't block the view and we still let a lot of light in.
Now, I'm a person who appreciates the look of natural wood, so I'm glad you didn't put too many rugs down. These floors have been beautifully refinished as we come into the dining room.
Well, the dining room is one of my favorite rooms. We kept it pretty simple because really to us the most important thing is who's sitting at the table and what's coming out of the kitchen.
Well said. And not too many pieces of furniture. You do have a chest here. Is this an antique?
No, it's actually a reproduction out of our line, based on an English design and another Spanish piece for the little legs that make it seem more Spanish. And this piece is made by this wonderful carpenter that works for us in Mexico named Ismael Arana.
You did a nice job. So now we're in the original part of the house, and that leads into the new space, which is the family room. And this is a nice big room with lots of glass for great views. And I'm a little bit surprised because in a family room you often see a conversation pit, furniture all the way around, but you didn't do that here.
No, we didn't, because we really wanted this room to feel nice and open and be inviting and have a lot of room for kids to play and family to be in.
All right. And, you know, I start to see the focal point in this room, and my eye is drawn to this beautiful secretary.
Absolutely. This is a wonderful piece, and it has a really wonderful history. It actually was purchased in Mexico, but it's a French piece. The French had a huge influence in Mexico because of Maximilian's time in Mexico. It's also serving a specific purpose here. It's kind of blocking the view just a tiny bit to make you work for it.
So you want to make us work a little bit so we can get a glimpse of the reservoir.
Absolutely. We want to make you work.
All right. Now, we've been in the public spaces, but you have some good ideas for furnishing small bedrooms.
I do.
Now, we have two down here on the first floor, and you're treating this one as a guest bedroom. It's a new space. We're recreating some of the architectural details in here. We have this cake frosting done in plaster. We also have the tray ceiling, which has the textured plaster.
Which I just love because it makes this little room feel really grand.
Grand? It's only 11 by 11, and you've put this giant bed in here.
I know, it seems kind of funny. And most people think that a small room kind of deserves small furniture in order to make it feel big. But we like to put a big, important piece of furniture in the room, just like this bed, to give it some grandeur and actually make it feel bigger.
Well, it has a nice effect. And the guests are never going to want to leave with this terrace out here. It used to be a wooden deck built by the homeowner and his father. Now it's nice terracotta tile, a nice Spanish effect. And your work inside, it's exquisite.
Thank you so much. We had so much fun doing it.
You did a beautiful job.
Mary, this is an exciting day. We finally get to meet the reason behind the whole renovation, your new son.
Yes, he was the instigator of this entire project, definitely.
So the little 1,500 square foot, one-story house was fine for you and Kurt 10 years ago, but obviously the family has grown since then.
Yes, things have changed, and we were limping along with a small house and not quite enough space and a leaky bathroom, a leaky shower. And now we were so fortunate to have a larger space, including a space of our own.
Well, you are no longer limping along. These arches, the details, and the tile, I mean, in this bathroom, just exquisite.
Yes, we're so fortunate to have this hand-painted tile. It's so beautiful, and there's a lot of depth, and it's what we would have seen back in the Art Deco days of 1933.
Yeah, and so a good-sized bathroom, a bedroom that's actually a little smaller than your original bedroom in the old house, but hey, nothing to complain about here, right?
No, you know, it's fine. For us, we wanted to focus on the public spaces and have those larger so the family can enjoy them together. And with the bedroom, we always have the outside here.
Not so bad if you get cramped in the bedroom to be able to come out onto your own private balcony overlooking your backyard.
Absolutely, and you know, on a beautiful day like today, we get to enjoy it from our own terrace.
And we can enjoy downstairs as well because there's plenty more. Let's have a look at that. Kurt, one of the first rooms you showed us in your old house was the kitchen, and you weren't too enamored with it.
No, it was so small, it ended about where you're standing.
So we literally tripled the size of the kitchen for you and your family.
Yeah,
and
it's wonderful.
A couple upgrades along the way.
Yeah, we got these beautiful soapstone countertops. It's something Mary and I have always wanted.
And I think they came in 5 pieces, and there is not a seam to be seen anywhere. So a beautiful piece of craftsmanship. More of the custom tiles in a vibrant color for the backsplash.
Yep.
And Mary, this is a first for me, a custom stove hood here with the plaster work by Alfonso.
Yes, it's meant to be kind of a sculptural detail in the kitchen, and the cove comes down and meets up with it, and the cabinets are inset back into the plaster work to make it all flush and look like one piece.
Good look for your kitchen, great look for a Spanish Colonial, and a nice way to wrap custom cabinets.
Exactly. These are by Larry Buckland and his team. Both cabinets everywhere, and even panels on the new appliances.
How does it feel to have appliances in your kitchen this time? Because that's not what they were originally.
Exactly. They were in the room next door, so we had the clothes washer right next to the dishwasher. Not ideal.
Sounds like an upgrade to me. So more space for a growing family and the end of actually a hectic 5.5-month journey.
Yeah, it's been quick.
And none of it would be possible without the work from a great team. It looks like they're having their first gathering on your new terrace. Oh, and there they are, the entire team. All right. And the team leader, Steve Pallrand. So Steve, you guys have been great to work with, every single one of them a real craftsman, and I think the results we've seen today speak for themselves. So Kurt and Mary, congratulations on your new house. Thank you. And for all of us at this old house, we are signing off from Los Angeles. So what do you say, guys? Great house, huh? And some great views of the lake.